Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Bohemian Rhapsody. And when I first heard about this film, bopping around with directors and Sacha Baron Cohen going to be Freddie Mercury, and then Rami Malek taking over. And when this first trailer dropped, I got really excited to see this with my brothers because Queen's a big thing for us, and I was excited to see what they do in telling this story. And overall, I thought it was a good time. I'm not gonna say Queen's film Bohemian Rhapsody is one of the best films of the year or really stood out that way. Is this worth Oscar praise? No, I don't feel like it's that kind of film. I feel like this is the kind of film where it's like you go in, you really enjoy what you watch, and there's some really powerful moments, and that's what you get. You had a nice time at the movies. In terms of this film, it's not really a whole lot well-rounded about Queen. This is definitely about Freddie Mercury. He is the main character, and you see things all through his perspective, with the members of Queen contributing to his life and his experiences. And so, like, this is a Freddie Mercury film. And in telling his story, I know there's a lot of controversy about this film not going far enough or not showing enough because it was trying to be more mainstream for general audiences. Do I think that necessarily takes away from this film? No. How they made the film, a lot of the time, kind of takes away from this being a great film. And Bryan Singer, who directed this film, I feel like he did a decent job of putting this film together, conveying the story, and putting together a good time for the audience. And I forget the director's name. He's also the one that's going to be doing the piano and the Rocket Man film. Apparently took over when Bryan Singer went through some stuff towards the end of filming of this film. But I feel like Bryan Singer does a fine job directing. I've never seen a film that Bryan Singer has made besides probably two of the X-Men films that's like, oh my god, this really blew me away. So, except for Usual Suspects, and that was way back in the early 90s. Bryan Singer really hasn't done much recently, and this film is a good time. In terms of how the story is told, I feel like there's moments where this film skates by things too quickly and really doesn't allow you to take too much of the real emotions or let things sink in, because it's always moving at a great quick pace. It kind of feels like it has kid pace. And what I mean by that is, in a kid's movie, some like bad thing happens, you have a quick scene of us being sad, but then we're good again, getting back on track. But it keeps moving, so you never feel bored. I never really felt bored watching this 2 hour and 15-minute film. But the thing is, there was times where I never felt like I really got to dig in and really grab hold of what was going on throughout most of this film. And I feel like that's on Bryan Singer, because he's just kind of like, let's bam, 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 tell the story. But the thing is, there are scenes that are very powerful. I have to say, I really enjoyed this film through the first hour and 50 minutes. The last 20 minutes of this film I thought was amazing and hit me so hard. Emotionally, I felt it. The energy, I had goosebumps. People were like tearing up. It was so powerful, the finale of this film, and had such a spark and energy to it that I felt like, where was this most of the film? And I've heard that from a lot of people, and I agree. That last part is amazing. If the rest of this film was on that level, this would be an amazing film. I felt it, and it was great. In terms of the writing, Freddie Mercury is a very interesting and intriguing character in this film. Does it really, really dig deep, real deep, into some of the stuff that he's doing? They allude to a lot of things in this film. But the thing is, I feel like it kind of works for his character. Because the thing is, he's never... Because the thing... I'm saying, here's the thing a lot. The matter of the fact of this film is this a documentary, or is this a Hollywood film? That's the thing. It's a Hollywood film. Everything's dramatized. Braveheart is a historical film, but it's kind of a historical fiction because they take so many liberties with everything. Most films, biographies, are historical fiction because they dramatize stuff. And there are moments that feel really melodramatic and really staged where you feel like I'm watching a movie. And that does take me out of the film a few times throughout this film. But in terms of how this doesn't really, because it's like, I've heard complaints that Freddie was like, it was all out there. He was crazy, having sex with like everybody. But in the film, you feel some kind of level of tension and loneliness and distance with what he's trying to convey and what we see of him, keeping us at a distance. But instead of us just looking at him and him being distanced from us, from the audience, we see the struggle of him trying to like balance these things and really come to grips with him being happy with himself and finding support and finding what really he loves in life. And I feel like this film has conveyed that really well. There's some really powerful scenes that convey that, and I feel like this film does that, and it does it in an interesting way. Does it have to show everything? No. And I think it was serviceable. But the thing is, in terms of how the story is told and what story they do tell, scenes don't dig too deep into a lot of different stuff besides some of the scenes that really dig down into what Freddie's dealing with. And there's some really tense, well-crafted scenes. Like his interview feels so uncomfortable, where the band's getting interviewed and he's getting all these questions thrown at him in a very aggressive way, and you really feel that. In terms of the story, the members of Queen, they're not very deep, the other three members, but the thing is, they have personalities, they're characters, and I feel like all of them are interesting enough on their own level to stand out, but you really don't get to feel a whole lot of their emotions. And then Mary, who's his closest confidant throughout his life, I feel like she is a decent character, but the thing is, she doesn't get a whole lot of depth. You don't really get to see a whole lot from her perspective until she's pointing out things. And then some of the other supporting characters are enjoyable, but the thing is, the only really character that get a lot of depth is Freddie. And this film is about him, and you really don't get to see a whole lot deeper with anybody else. And this kind of feels like a whole lot of like, it's a greatest hits film. Here's an important thing that happened. Let's throw in a Queen song. Here's an important thing. Let's throw in a Queen song. And I thought it was an interesting choice that it's just like they just do dubbing and lip syncing throughout the film, which is kind of funny because they have issue with that in the story when they're told to lip sync on TV, and it's like the whole entire movie's lip sync because it is Freddie singing, actual Freddie Mercury singing all these songs. And I feel like this is trying to be musical at moments with that, and I don't know how much it works since it really does. Some of the scenes, it's just like you're putting on an act. There's one particular scene where it feels real and really hits you, and you feel the energy, and that's towards the end of the film. Like I said before, this film builds up to a point where this hit me like a sledgehammer. But the thing is, I wish I had that feeling throughout the film. And the music, it's all Queen songs. And there's some other songs, but there's no score. It's just, it gets filled up with Queen songs, which you'd kind of expect. And then the cinematography by Newton Thomas Siegel. I think the camera work is very inspired. I love some of the sequences in this film with like the camera following characters. I loved it. I felt like that was really well done. You felt immersed. But one of my biggest criticisms is the CGI in this film. And you would think, why is there a big reliance on CGI when you're filling stadiums with people and not putting actual people in it, and it looks like it's a PS2 game? Like I'm playing a baseball game from like 10 years ago, and all the crowd are like disgusting CGI block people. That's what this kind of looked like at points. And even during the great finale, kind of took me out of it. And that, I didn't really appreciate that. Rami Malek, is a chameleon in this film because he loses himself so much into this role, and he is Freddie Mercury. The body language, how he speaks, his energy about him. Like, there's just one moment where, like, getting ready for a concert and, like, tracking up to the stage, and you see all of his movements, and they feel so real. And a lot of the time, it doesn't feel like he's just mimicking. He's feeling it, and he's doing it. He is being Freddie Mercury. Now, Lucy Boynton, who plays Mary, I think she does a nice job and conveys some good emotion, but Gwilym Lee, Ben Hardy, and Joe Mazzello, who play Brian May, Roger Taylor, and John Deacon, I think do really, really good jobs of being these characters, being the other members of the band, and they really capture who they're supposed to be. My personal favorite other member of Queen besides Freddie was John Deacons, because he's just like, seems like the normal guy in the band. He's just like, can you all just shut up and let's play, kind of thing, and I really appreciated him. But they were all interesting, and I think all the actors really dug into what they were given. Were they given a whole lot? No, but they were believable characters. I believe them as these friends and this family, this band of misfits that they're supposed to be. And like Aidan Gillen and Tom Hollander in there, I think they both do a really good job. And I really enjoyed Mike Myers popping up in this film. And he wasn't crazy over the top. He was actually acting. He wasn't just putting on like a crazy cameo character. And I enjoyed the bit that he was in. Overall, I think this was a fun time. I would recommend this. Go out and see this. You'll have a really good time. You'll hit you in the feels. Is this something that's like, this is going to be nominated for Oscars? No, don't expect that. But this is a fun time. I'd highly recommend Bohemian Rhapsody, and you'll be wanting to sing Queen on your way home from the theater like I did with my other brother John. And we belted out Bohemian Rhapsody, and if you go see this, you'll want to too. So thank you as always for tuning in to your Wasteland Reviewer.